Welcome to Uncomfortable, conversations about culture and Christianity. My name is Eric, and today I'm joined by Jess.
Hello, world.
And Alex.
Looks like we made it. Look how far we've come, my baby. Might have took the long way. Anyway, is that Shania?
Yeah.
Shania Twain.
Good. 200 episodes. This is episode 200. It's a monumental moment. We've been doing this almost 5 years at this point. I mean, if you do the math, I think that adds up. Started in 2019. It's now 2024. That's the year it is. I almost forgot. And I was thinking to myself, have we had an episode in 2024 yet? No, we have not. So happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
But yeah, this episode is going to be a little bit different. We have some messages from different people and all sorts of fun things planned for episode 200. But to start off the banter, we had something very excited. This was sent in to us by a listener, right? This idea.
Yeah. And I think most of like the thoughts around this are like things that listeners have requested throughout the years and things like that. And so we asked before 200, like, what should we do? And so this was one of the fun things we got anonymously. So thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous. Dear Uncomfortable host, congratulations on reaching the 200th episode.
Confetti.
Fireworks. Your ministry is amazing, thought-provoking, and stretches me in my sanctification process. I have an idea for a banter to start it. Here are some cards for the three of you. These are gift cards, not just random cards. If any of you has a passion for one of them, you get to pick first, but you have to tell why you picked it.
Oh.
If there's any particular passion that drives the order, that doesn't drive the order, start with whomever has the next birthday in the year, but they have to still say why. Blessings from an uncomfy.
Oh.
That's the name of our fan.
I thought you said her name was,
uncomfies.
it was her, like a female, and it was
Blessings
Anne.
From Anne
Uncomfy. Anne Uncomfy. I was like, that's...
Anne Uncomfy, and then her last name. It's a middle name. It's become a middle name.
Okay, so
That's cute.
but I noticed there's 4 cards in your hand.
Here are some gift cards for the three of you and producer Austin, it says.
Producer Austin.
Producer
Austin. He likes gift cards. So we thought this. First, should we start listing the gift cards?
Yeah, we'll start and then we'll talk about our passions.
And then okay, great.
So we have a Menards gift card here. We have a Chick-fil-A gift card closed on Sunday. Starbucks, and then we've got a gift card to Anderson's Convenient Mart, Amoco, BP, gas station. Gasoline, fuel.
Okay. So we're supposed to...
If someone's passionate about them, they get to make a plea and pick first.
Oh, wow. I mean, there's one on there that I know someone's very passionate about.
100%.
Hello?
Whoa! Oh my goodness!
Magic.
It's Austin. He's got a microphone.
I'll take the Menards gift card.
Of course you would.
I like building things.
Mr. Woodvice on Instagram and YouTube himself.
Yes, like, subscribe, click the bell, ring for all of his new content.
And also our incredible producer.
Yeah. So Austin, what's it like being on camera now for your first time in history? And Mike, is it so good?
It's so good. Yeah. I don't know. Should I look at you or should I look at the camera? But I'm just gonna keep looking at you.
Yeah, you should look
I think
over
it's normal.
here. Yeah.
I'm in front of the camera a lot now.
Yeah.
With my huge Woodvice business.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
So it's just another walk in the park,
See, we're used to it now. Okay,
Yeah.
you're a social media influencer, Austin.
Did we have any debate about the Menards gift card?
I don't know if I can argue him out of that.
You've been doing a lot of projects lately.
But
I'm very impressed.
I don't really want to be doing anymore.
We don't want to.
right
Okay,
now.
so you're
wanna start
retiring
new
from
ones.
projects. You don't need it.
I don't want. I think Austin. I think it goes to Austin.
Going once, twice.
Even if I.
Yay.
Austin! Menards gift card. All right.
And your reward for being on the podcast too, because
It's Jess's dream come
I've
true.
been asking Austin for a solid 100 episodes.
Many people have.
Before every episode, I'm like, Austin, you gonna be on today?
Yeah, and I always say no.
Every time, no. So I thought today was a joke. So this is
Not even just
not
his
a joke.
voice, but
Yeah.
also
Not a
if
joke.
you're
Here I
watching,
am.
you
Yeah.
can see what Austin looks like. The mystery, which, I mean, it's exciting, but also it's like the mystery's been revealed. So
Yeah.
now
Also, Austin has had for a while the sole responsibility of wrangling the three of us during episodes. So thank you, Austin.
And he always tells us if it's boring or not. How many episodes have been boring? All 200, including this one now?
There's probably been a handful that haven't.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Maybe 6 solid episodes that you've
Okay, good.
really hit
This is
the
why our
nail on the head.
self-esteem is so high.
Yes.
We need the honest,
Don't struggle.
honest opinion to
Yes, we
steer
do.
the ship.
But it's been
correctly.
good for Austin because that's given him plenty of time to look at his building materials and shop at Menards while producing the podcast. So
All
thank you
right.
for that.
Austin.
Next, anybody passionate about a Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, or the fuel? Who's gonna be the next one to jump in?
The funny thing is, like, I feel like Jess would fight for Starbucks.
No.
But maybe I'm wrong.
That's not what I would pick right now.
Okay, what would you pick?
Ben is out of town for the rest of the week, and I would love to take my kids to Chick-fil-A so I don't have to cook.
So you
can't
need
even-
gas in your car to take him to Chick-fil-A? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Why do you want Chick-fil-A? I do not want to arm wrestle you on camera.
Yeah, I don't want to have to arm wrestle.
Are you gonna take food from her children's mouth right now?
Do you have a stronger argument than that? Like
No,
that's basically
I
what
mean,
the rules were. So
yeah.
go for it. I mean,
No.
I'm willing to concede. Go for it.
I don't eat very often, so I'll concede the food to you.
Well, he's probably been busy winterizing his pool.
Eric is a
That's
big
true.
Kanye fan, and we haven't been able to talk about Kanye in a while, and he does have a Chick-fil-A song.
Be careful just throwing it out that I'm a big Kanye fan, okay?
That's true.
Things have changed.
Had been.
Yeah.
Former.
I'm
But you
not
mentioned
a
pool.
Kanye supporter, but
So
I
I
have
don't
been
even
a
think
fan
we
of
closed
his-
it. I didn't even say once, twice, and you just took the gift card from my hand.
You kind of handed it. If people
kinda
are
did,
watching,
yeah.
you're taking
Eric,
it
are
back. I'm
you-
fine.
I'm not going to fight for it. No,
Okay.
I don't.
I would take something else.
I have a hard
too.
time fighting for things.
I don't
We'll give it.
mind.
We will give it.
If you're really hungry,
I'm not.
I mean, I'll take it if you want.
Austin
You guys
wants
are
it.
just
Eric,
arguing.
are you passionate about either of these?
Well, I would say probably more the Starbucks than the gas because I use
You
gas.
already have gas?
I already have gas. I'm a gas man. No, but I usually get gas in Council Bluffs at the Casey's.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I don't think that gift card's
Loyalty.
gonna help me out. Plus, I take Apple Pay there, and I use my watch, and that's fast. But I really I could go either way because the gas station's close by. So I'm hoping that this is meeting the expectations of the listener that submitted this. Maybe I'm supposed to fight and say, give me the coffee because I like coffee and you don't even like coffee. You're always drinking energy drinks. So just stop acting like it's even an issue.
And I can pick up some energy drinks for sure at whatever's most on sale. That's usually what I
That's
go
true.
with.
At the gas
Eric,
station.
I would
At the
be.
gas station.
I'm fine if you would like this
No,
Chick-fil-A gift card.
Nope.
This is
I
how
would
much we. This is showing also how much we love each other.
I
That
know.
we're not.
And I think this is the
fighting each
perfect.
other.
I think this is the perfect alignment.
I
I'll take
agree.
And
Starbucks.
Austin's like, shut up.
Austin, is this boring
Give
yet?
me all the gift
No,
cards.
this is a lot of fun.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so much fun.
Okay.
We're gonna get to seven
Okay,
good episodes.
This is my question
now.
too. Does any of the things you use, like the vacuum that you clean your pool with, maybe the heater, does anything run on gas that you would need?
Fuel. I did have to get some fuel for the snowblower this week.
Okay.
Oh.
So
yeah, we don't want snow piling up on the cover.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. A lot of snow piles up in the pool and it freezes and all those things.
Well, thank you.
That was really
whoever
nice.
submitted this was a really nice gift. It's like a belated Christmas gift.
I think it was the
That was
only
really-
thing that was ever going to get Austin on here, basically bribing him.
Yeah, we bribed him to get on with
Menards, you know the way
favorite-
to-
I
Austin's
know
heart.
it's not me. I've tried first.
Which is amazing. I mean, the fact that Austin hasn't been on the podcast, but the one that they just nailed.
Yeah,
was-
the Menards one is
the one that Wood Vice was on.
Austin. How often have you been to Menards in the last 6 months?
Probably 40 times
Okay,
in the last
Whoa!
6 months.
That's
probably-
6
yeah.
months is a long time.
yeah. That's
So-
that's not even once a day. So that's
No, yeah,
that's not that
see,
much.
That's
It's
a
not that
lot.
bad.
Yeah,
Doing well.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. This is really
That was
thoughtful,
really nice.
a fun way to have some banter to kick off the new year, and yeah, just grateful for the gift cards. Very nice of you.
So coming up next, we have some well wishings and greetings from people who have been guests on this podcast. So let's take a minute to hear from them, and we'll be right back.
Well, congratulations. 200 episodes implies you got some staying power. That's really cool. A lot of podcasts get started, and frankly, they can't keep going because they don't have anything to say. You guys have kept it up. You've diversified. You aren't just complaining about things. You're actually adding to the knowledge of a church, and you've paid a lot of attention to us locally. You just haven't tried to figure out how big a platform to get. As important as platforms are, I'm grateful that you still speak to us. And I can't think of any more fun people to watch. Jess, you're a gem. You bring heart. Eric, you bring intelligent discussions, and I've loved the wisdom that you bring, Alex. So I think all three of you have just been a joy to watch. So keep at it.
Hey, congratulations to our Uncomfortable podcast for 200 episodes. I'm super excited about this. It's a forum to be able to talk about stuff that we oftentimes don't have time to talk about on Sunday morning, or it's just a little bit out of the mainstream of what you would preach about. But I remember some amazing highlights over the years. I remember when Lisa Ashton shared her story, and it impacted people in such powerful ways. I remember when we had John Walton come on and school us about Genesis in a way that was brilliant. I remember when I got to talk with Doug Stevens about men and women in ministry and how we work well together. And these have been powerful and impacting moments. I'm grateful for the opportunity that we've had over the last 4 years to be able to do amazing ministry. And thanks to all of you who are the regular listeners of the Uncomfortable podcast. You're the ones who really make this work.
All right, thank you to all of those who sent in those kind messages. Appreciate that. Now we're joined by Jarrett. Welcome back, Jarrett. You've been on the podcast before. People can go and find that episode. They may be asking, why is Jarrett here? We thought it might be interesting since normally when there's a guest, Jess, Alex, and myself are interviewing them and asking them questions. We thought, well, what if we brought Jarrett on to do a reverse interview?
Yeah.
And really get to the bottom of the hosts of the Uncomfortable podcast, ask us some hard-hitting questions. Thank you, Jarrett, for your time.
Yeah, of course. The bar's set pretty high. I feel like you guys have asked some real good questions, and so I tried my best to come up with some that really just got to the heart of who you are as people, not just as podcast hosts.
All right. Well, whenever you're ready, we're ready.
Yeah. All right. So to start, obviously you guys all joined the podcast at different times, but when you first started on the podcast yourself, what were your thoughts, expectations? Were you like, I don't know how much I'm going to like this. Were you like, this is a walk in the park, piece of cake, this is right up my alley? What were your thoughts, expectations when you started?
I can go first if you guys want to think. Yeah, I was kind of involved in the early planning phase of this podcast. And for me, I had been podcasting since like 2007. It was just something that I loved to do. And so I was just kind of, I didn't have expectations as far as what it would mean for me to be on it, but just I was just more of excited about doing it. And it was something that I was kind of in my wheelhouse already. So that's it for me. I don't know.
Yeah, what other podcasts have you done? Anything people should check out?
Oh, nothing that's really still in circulation. I'll say that.
Okay.
So yeah.
Is this the longest running podcast you have been a part of?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're still chasing.
Yeah.
Still chasing another one. Yeah, for me, when we started talking about this podcast, I think I was in the role of the middle school pastor at Christ Community, and really just thinking a lot about, especially the next generation, younger people, a lot of the questions that they were asking, and just wanting, because I knew, like, whenever I'd preach, to the middle schoolers or in our student ministry, that there were so many questions that students often had about the world that don't always get addressed inside of a sermon. And so I always kind of craved a space where we could talk about things that are happening in culture and kind of be up to date with what's happening in culture, and then also talk about it from a biblical lens. And I remember like sitting in Starbucks with two people that aren't even on staff anymore that were, a part of this. And Ian, who was a resident at the church at one time, I think it was his, like, he was one of the first people to think about, we should do this, and then we were coming up with a name for it and just trying to figure out, like, what's the niche going to be. And I remember just sitting in Starbucks and just talking about, uncomfortable. Like, we want it to be a place where we talk about things that are uncomfortable. And so I've just really always loved that idea. And again, I think when we began it, we didn't know who the hosts were going to be and how that was all going to shake out. We had obviously some other hosts that were with us, Rachel and Mackenzie, that launched in the beginning. And so it's just been fun to see the evolution. And I don't think I would have guessed like 4 years later, a little more than 4 years later, we would still be here having conversations and that people would be listening and there'd still be more to talk about. And yet it's like, it feels like also we've only scratched the surface of so many things.
I think for me, just beginning the podcast, like I came in, I had to look back. I think it was episode 57. So you guys were kind of already established in a lot of things. And I was very intimidated. And I remember, I think Alex, you and I talked, but then a couple other people, I just asked, you had asked me to be on the podcast and I'm like, why? Like I've never like been in front of the camera. I've been behind the scenes. And so it was something for me that hit a lot of insecurities initially. So I was like, I don't necessarily like how I look on camera and I've not like had somebody want my opinion. So I'm like, why would you want me? And I guess from there, it's kind of been this evolution of, you know, I think we shouldn't ever be afraid to try new things and be afraid, like if we feel insecure or something scares us, that's not a reason to not necessarily do something. So for me, it was literally a 50-50. Do I do this or do I not? I could have taken it or left it. But for me, it was like, this is something that's going to help me grow. It's going to help me develop more. And it's going to help me, it's going to push the parts of me that I tried to hide and that I try to like not necessarily be as vulnerable with. And so this is like, been a lot of like growing and developing for me, but those were kind of my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point there of like you come in with thoughts and expectations and then over time you just develop, like you change, you get comfortable, you're like, okay, I feel like I know what I'm doing now. So when do you guys feel like you kind of settled into your personality on the podcast? Because I think a big part of it beyond just what you're talking about is you as individual people, how you work together. So when do you feel like you found kind of, this is my area, this is my sense of humor on this podcast, this is how I operate, this is what I bring to the table? When do you feel like you kind of found that lane?
I think it's been an evolution in some ways of trying to, figure out that niche and what's my unique personality. And it's been learning, I think, one another, you know, having the consistency of, I think the first 50 episodes, you know, we had a few different hosts with Mackenzie and Rachel that were great, but they were both in our residency here. And then Rachel worked here for a short time and had to move. And we were like, Eric and I were like, what are we going to do next? Like, we definitely want a female perspective. We think that's super important and, you know, prayed through who you're going to have. And I think Jess was just such a great fit, obviously, for this, not just from her perspective, but her skills as a professional counselor and things like that. And so, like, for me, I've always been like, hey, I try to be a funny person. I'm okay with being the brunt of the jokes of noon ball and the pool guy. And, you know, I've embraced that reality and just trying to like have that balance between a pastoral shepherding kind of hopefully lens and heart and, okay, I need to bring scripture into this because scripture should inform, you know, our lives and a part of this, but also like have that unique balance of my perspective and my personality and just things I've been through. So I think it's been evolving, but a lot of it's just listening to feedback. There's a lot of people that give us great feedback. And so I don't know if I could pinpoint this is when I really figured it out, but I learned, I said like a lot more at the beginning of the podcast, so I became more comfortable at least. So that's my answer.
There you go.
I think for me, a lot of settling into my own personality is trusting like who we're with. And I feel like, you know, as much as we talk on camera or on microphone, there's so many more conversations that Eric, Alex, and we've had together behind the scenes. And I think it's almost more important than what we do on camera because it's, for me, I feel comfortable with them and I trust them. And so I feel like for a lot of times, like, I would come to the podcast and be very nervous and overthinking and like I'd have to like have things written out and be losing track. But I really feel like 2023, we just have had so many conversations and things happening in our lives where we kind of had to like cut the crap and just like you can't really like put on a face when you're here. And so I think like coming into my personality, it's like the listeners want all of us. And so I think like hearing great feedback that we get every week and like, hey, I shared that and I've been overthinking that for a week, but hearing the feedback of people saying like, that is the thing that like has stuck with me, has really helped me, I think, come into my personality. And I just think it's helped all of us grow too this year.
And to get uncomfortable, you got to get comfortable. That's what they say.
It's true. Yeah, I think for me it was the context of it being a kind of the church, right? It's Christ Community Church's podcast. They're kind of, I guess, supporting it, and it's part of what we do here. And I think finding my voice in that lane was a little tricky, just because my experience on podcasts was much more about just covering, pop culture and current events, and it was usually a lot of just kind of bouncing off the other hosts and kind of having fun and joking and being able to be very like myself. Who everyone has opinions, right? I'm a very opinionated person too, so it's just like, how do I balance that coming into an environment where you're considering all the people that could be listening, and we're trying to talk through something that could be very serious to people, and it can be very personal, and trying to find those words has always been challenging to me, because usually I'm pretty quick-witted, but in this environment I feel like I've struggled more than any to try to find my voice, because I'm always second-guessing the words that are about to come out of my mouth. I'm like, oh, how is this going to sound? And so, yeah, I think like Alex said, I kind of echo that. Like, I feel like for this podcast, I still am feeling like I'm in this evolution of what my voice is.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course.
Just to the guys, like, it's hard, like, being the only girl in a room full of all guys. And so I just have always appreciated the integrity that Alex and Eric have every week. I feel like an equal, and I feel really valued as a woman, and as a woman with an opinion and a professional and in the church. And I've never felt less than. And I think that that's something that's often missed in our culture and that we kind of skip over. And so for me, that's like something that has also made me feel really comfortable in this space, is like they value what I have to say and they care about what I think, and they know I can contribute something.
For sure. I feel like as an outsider's perspective who gets to see you guys outside of just this space, like, I think, the genuine friendship that you mentioned is a huge part of what makes this podcast what it is and makes it possible. And so definitely affirm that. And so, for all of you now, you've been on for at least close to 150 episodes. And so there's, I'm sure, a lot of moments, a lot of memories that you guys have. What would you say are maybe like one of your favorite episodes, or even moments within an episode that you're like, when you think about your time on this podcast, that comes to mind?
Easy for me. We had an entire episode which was listener questions, and so we picked them out of the boot. Sometimes we grab, this brass boot, pick up questions every so often, and I'm just ever grateful for the question that clarified. I think someone said, "Why does Alex play nude ball?" And in that moment, I learned I need to enunciate better. Enunciation is very important. That for so long, when I talked about noon ball, people I apologize for whatever images were inside of their mind.
Nothing good.
Nothing good at all. And so I'm just grateful for that. And it's kind of made a fun, like, ongoing, humorous moment, joke, but also a reminder you need to enunciate. It hasn't even, this might break some hearts, but we now start at 11:30. It's not even noon ball anymore, though we play over the noon hour still. So that's also made it easier to not make those mistakes. But that's just been kind of a fun, interpersonal thing. And like, there's so many people that have come up to me like randomly at church or whatever, and they just like find so much humor and like, how's nude ball, and like it's become this like ongoing joke from people like. And I'm just shocked, like I'm walking through, like about to preach, or like just met with somebody, and then like somebody catches me, and I'm like, this is going to be something important. And like, how is nude ball? And I'm just like, it just catches me off guard every time.
I mean,
yes, important. So that's the first thing that pops in my mind.
Probably one of my most memorable episodes, because when you asked that question, the first thing that popped into my mind was getting to try on that gold medal when we had Josh Turek on, and just the opportunities that we've had to just meet such cool people. That was probably one of my favorite episodes. But the thing that has shook me the hardest was I think about it at least once a week, is Alex's he does not put that toilet paper on the roll the right way.
Yeah.
And it still bothers me like to this day. It's followed me into 2024 because I've already thought about it. But that to me, and I mean, that was genuine shock in that episode.
Yeah.
This cannot be. And so
Does it bother you more that
I
when
just still
people
can't
voted,
believe
they
it.
all voted on my side and I won by a
there's an
landslide?
asterisk
Or
by that because I don't think
we
that
put that out
happened.
on social media.
For
But that
those
was
like
wild.
myself who weren't around at that point, maybe there's a listener who also wasn't around. Which way does Alex do it?
The wrong way.
The wrong way.
There's
He
a right way
you
and a
know how
wrong way.
you're supposed to fold it, it's over. So you pull down.
Of course.
Alex,
Doesn't
goes
care.
on.
No, I don't care. That was mine.
he doesn't care.
It goes
and
on.
I don't
I
look.
was like,
I don't
there's
care.
no way. There's no way. So,
Yeah.
anyways, not to bring it up, but that will live on.
That makes sense.
It'll come up again. I'm sure.
I'll never
still
look at
don't
him
care.
the same.
Still don't care which way. I don't even
Can't
look.
peer
I
pressure.
believe
him.
it.
Yeah, I think for me it's if we're talking about funny moments, there was an early episode, and I don't even know the number. Someone's gonna have to look it up. And usually, a lot of it is sometimes someone will say something or they'll fumble their words, and we record this live and we try not to edit a lot of it. So for the most part, these episodes are not edited. We kind of trim the ends and we publish them, so it's just more of stream of consciousness, conversational podcast. And so sometimes things will get said that someone will hear, and it might sound a little funny or inappropriate in the moment when you hear it. And it's usually we're having serious conversations. And so I would say Alex is kind of the king of not being able to hold it in. Like
Yeah.
he does
I
start
love
giggling
it.
off camera a lot.
Yep.
And so I feel this obligation as like kind of the one that's corralling this show to like hold it in and try to be a rock. And that's not easy for me because I'm just as childish. But
can confirm.
one early episode, Alex said something about shopping at like a hardware store, and he was talking about things that you do that could cause you to sin, and he referred to something as a sin tool at the hardware store. And I don't know why that struck me so funny, and I just lost it
Yeah,
like
you did.
live in the recording, and I don't know, you can go find it, but that was sin tool. That was one that
It's a good one.
I remember. But I think as far as other just experiences is being able to interview, kind of like Jess said, just these interesting people, whether that was when we had Phil Vischer on, or I think of when I got to interview the Alliance president, Dr. Stumbo. That was just that was like, I felt, it's one of those things where it was like really exciting to write the questions for that because I was able to kind of like go to places that I haven't heard other people go with him. And so that was kind of fun. Or even recently with like Brant Hansen, that was one of my favorite interviews ever just because that guy and I think we're kind of kindred spirits, and that was a lot of fun.
I remember when I first started the podcast that we wanted to talk about sex. And that was kind of like one of those taboo subjects that we hadn't really broached and it hadn't been covered in the ways that we wanted to yet. And so that was really memorable for me because it was like the like sex, politics, and religion are the three things that are uncomfortable. And it was so memorable for me because it was like we had to get past like the awkward and figure out the questions. And we really went for it. I mean, it was probably like uncomfortable at the time for us, but I'm so proud of us that we went for that. And I hope we have more conversations like that in the future. But that to me was like it was like I had to look up it was 65 and 66, those episodes.
Yeah, I mean, when you jumped into the podcast, we knew like if you could survive those first 10, because I think like one of your first assignments was to interview Lisa Ashton and talk about, I mean, Athlete A had just come out talking about the sexual abuse that happened at Michigan State with Larry Nassar, Dr. Larry Nassar, who was in jail, and she was an athlete there and under his care, and so that was just a lot. And then I know we had the DeFores on and had couple different episodes talking about sex and just in pretty open, honest ways.
Yeah.
And I remember like get to the giggles. I would giggle a lot because they were French, and so sometimes the ways that the words came out, I would make me giggle, just like a middle school boy, And so people don't know how good Austin is at switching the camera when my face turns red too. So MVP right there.
Yeah, he knows your tell. Yeah, it's a lot of good answers. I can't help but notice that none of you said the episode that I was on. But
yeah.
That's okay.
I was
Given.
about to say
that's
it, but
my
I
most
won't.
memorable for those wondering. But yeah, so as you guys said, there's been a lot of awesome topics that you guys have covered, a lot of uncomfortable topics, a lot of just things that people don't necessarily hear elsewhere. As you think about moving forward, like what topic do you hope to cover? And maybe with that, who's like your dream guest? If you were like, you could get anyone in the world.
Ooh.
Who would be your dream guest and what topic? It doesn't have to be the same topic and guest, but they can be separate questions, but maybe they go together.
Can mine be, my answer can be it's going to be a little bit vague for guests, right?
I'll accept
It's not, it doesn't matter necessarily who it is, but I'd love to have more conversations with more polarizing figures in our culture. Like, I think I recently listened to a Conan O'Brien podcast where he interviewed President Biden, and it's one of those things where when you're in this type of setting, when you're just two people having a conversation, you really get to know who someone is. And like when you just hear someone talking from their heart and you hear their life experiences, all of the polarizing things that come away from that, you realize that you're just human beings, right? And like we're all trying to figure it out the best that we can. And I think the more opportunities, I mean, I think of Alex when you had your sister on, Precious, talking about, transgenderism and that sort of thing, like just having these moments where we get close to people and we realize that we're all not that dissimilar is really powerful. And so for me, I don't know who those people are, but I think a lot of times we get really good, whether it's in the political community or even in the Christian community, sometimes of just villainizing people because of their stances on certain things. And so that for me, at least, that even kind of bleeds into the topics. Like I really like to just dismantle stereotypes and tropes and just get to the root of humanity behind certain issues and topics.
For sure.
Well, we already had my dream guest on, Jarrett. Thanks for being on the podcast.
He's trying to make
It's
up
about
one.
time.
Yes.
You can only ask so many questions waiting for the answer to be me before.
No, besides that, I don't have a name that I can think of, but I'm probably more with Eric in, I know, when we set out, set sail on this voyage, one of our hopes and convictions was we're not always going to have, everybody is not going to be a Christian that's on the podcast. Not everyone's going to align with our Christian values, and we wanted to create a space where that person was comfortable to come in and have a conversation with us, even though they don't agree, with our religion and all of our beliefs, but we could sit down and have good dialogue, not even debate the points, but just to give people, put people in proximity to other people's stories that are different than them, because I think that's a sanctifying process. And we have had not even a handful of guests who, have told us, whether on the camera or off the camera, hey, I don't know that I believe what you guys believe, and they've walked away with, I think, feeling like they were dignified and honored. And on the back end, we kind of catch, from people that were platforming people that aren't Christian and things like that. So there's that balance of things that we get to walk through. I think it's a privilege to get to walk through it, but I think, pressing more into some of those conversations, or even more conversations where multiple people maybe are on the episode that think differently. I remember, and Mark mentioned it in his comments, but when him and Doug Stevens came on and talked about women in ministry and their disagreements over theological points, but how they did that was well. And I think becoming more and more a place where we can model civil disagreement, civil discourse well. That just does not happen. And I'm looking at 2024 and a political cycle that is just anti that. And so, finding more spaces to do that and help us see other people as humans, not to see our enemies as humans, but as people that are deceived by the ultimate enemy. And so I look forward to, more of that. And that probably takes more unction on our part, more conviction to go after that. But also I think hopefully we've created a space, and it takes longevity to, I think, create a space and relationships where people are comfortable for that kind of stuff too.
That's good. I've heard you throw around Chris Pratt before too. So.
Oh, Chris would be fun. He hasn't answered my Instagram, so Chris, if you're listening, still waiting.
I think this is going to sound so cheesy. My dream guests are every guest we have on that I see like the raw authenticity that they bring, and I feel like so often our goal behind the scenes is to set the guests that we have up to hit a home run. And to me, a home run is them being safe, not judged, to share their opinion, and for us to be respectful and to have those conversations that are dialogue and to not be causing dissension or anything more. So I know that frustrates a lot of people. We've talked about that before, where it's like we're not necessarily pushing everybody, but to me, every guest is when we're setting them up like that, it's the best. And I love the ideas that the guys have. I don't know if I have a dream guest. That's kind of a hard one. I didn't think about that one.
You just had your dream guest.
Jarrett.
today. No.
It's already happened.
Austin.
Oh, that is true.
That is-
Shook me. I thought
Yeah.
that was a joke. I have been asking for that for a long time.
Yes.
I think topics to cover in the future. I think there's still so much to be talked about in purity culture, and I haven't necessarily brought my voice to that conversation yet, just about sex and intimacy and just how that has just been really damaging in our culture. And I think also I'm very curious about still the fascination with cults, active cults, things that are happening now today. There's so many documentaries and things that are happening currently that we don't even have to look that far back. And so, yeah, I think I just want to be present for those things. And those are things that kind of make me curious, but.
Yeah, that's good. All right, last question for you guys. So maybe, New Year's, maybe people had a resolution, hey, I want to listen to more podcasts this year, and maybe they've stumbled across this, or maybe they're inviting a friend and saying, hey, I listened to this podcast, you should check it out. If you could succinctly give a 1 or 2 sentences, why should someone listen to this podcast moving forward? Maybe it's their first time, what would you say?
Uncomfortable conversations about culture and Christianity.
So you mean, hi, my name is Eric?
Hey, my name is Jarrett.
Yeah, that's really tough. That's a good question. I don't know. I'm not the best at self-promotion.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, use Chat. Yeah, let's find out. I'll use ChatGPT. Yeah, do you guys have any thoughts yet? I'm stalling
I can.
for time.
I would say if this is your first episode, you will get humor. You will get people that are authentic. We're not perfect. We don't say everything right, and we don't say everything maybe the way that we should, but you get 3 people that are genuine, authentic, and we are looking to grow and learn, and we are not so focused on our own corner of the world that we don't have open minds and open arms to have conversations. And as much as we want you to be uncomfortable and challenged, we want that too. And that's why we're here, and that's why we show up every week. And so I think commit to doing that too. And I think if you want to be challenged to have a different perspective and maybe to think about things the way that you haven't before, that you haven't learned, or there's conversations you want to have in your church that you don't know how to do that, join us and let us support you and encourage you in having those conversations. And yeah,
that was
we love
well
it.
over
Yeah,
6
that's
sentences.
That's a Paul.
Oh.
That's
So-
Paul 2 sentences.
no, I think-
I didn't
A lot
realize
of
I was
commas.
limited to 6
well, you said
sentences.
2.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
okay,
no, that's
Jess.
good. You got
You
Alex
yourself
and
I'm
I.
passionate about it.
Alex and I don't have to say anything now, right?
Well, I would like,
Oh, okay.
at least Alex.
Go ahead.
My thought is it's just as much your podcast as it is ours. And so one of the things I've loved is that it's been shaped in so many ways by our listeners.
Yeah.
I mean, they've called themselves the Uncomfy. I mean, a lot of the evolution of the podcast and guest suggestions and topics have been because of people that listen. And I think every time someone suggests something, we'll run after it. If you have a guest that you want us to try to have on the podcast, I will shamelessly ask them. They might not say yes, but I will send them an Instagram. I'll find their email. I will go crazy,
He really
weird
will.
Yeah.
No, I will not go crazy, weird stalker, but I will try. I'm not afraid to go ask people to be on it and to shape this after what people want to hear. If there's taboo topics or whatever, so it's just as much your podcast, and you have just as much ability to shape it. And maybe I'm under the illusion, but our hope is as we do. So
Yeah. I think that's good.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. I think as someone who's been here now for 7 months and has gotten to witness a number of episodes and listen to some previous ones, first want to congratulate you myself on what an accomplishment it is. As someone who hosted a podcast in college that lasted about 10 episodes, it definitely is impressive, and just a really useful service for this church, both internally at CCC and just for the world as Christians and non-Christians to wrestle with these questions. And so, grateful for you guys and the work that you do, and just fun to be on here today.
Thank you, Jarrett. And if I'm ever out, I might just say Jarrett's gonna.
Oh
fill in
yeah,
my seat,
and I
he
would
can
gladly
he can
welcome
just
you
Take over.
anytime.
Thanks, guys.
All right, up next, stay tuned for some greetings we received from our listeners. And I just love this. This is so exciting. I got a little sneak peek of it, and I'm very excited for everyone to hear this. So why don't you check that out right now?
Hello, uncomfy podcasters. Alex, Eric, and Jess, congratulations on your 200th episode.
What started back in 2019, 6 months before COVID, and all the challenges that go into launching a podcast in that era has continued to develop into a conversation that has challenged my thinking on a number of topics. In society, there's always been that cliche that the topics that you avoid talking about are sex, religion, and politics. Reason being, they are uncomfortable. But you have taken all of them on numerous occasions, along with so many other conversations that are equally difficult to navigate. I want you to know that I have grown in my knowledge and perspective of many topics, some of them being uncomfortable. But you have given me a context and a means to deal with them. In addition, I've learned a lot about other topics because of the renowned authors, educators, and podcasters you've had on your show. And thinking about the last 4.5 years, 199 episodes, I was trying to think if there was one thing that stood out to me. And the thing I think that stands out to me is the lens that I have developed over the years of listening and growing with you in what has been known position versus posture. I think it was episode 1 that Alex first introduced that concept, and I've heard it again in other contexts many times. But on your show, you've always contextualized not bending on biblical position, but always keeping a biblical posture. So to all of that, I say, well done. Keep the fire burning.
Hey, Uncomfortable Podcast. My name is Brienne, and I'm sending this from Florida. Much warmer than Omaha, where the podcast takes place, but just wanted to say I am so grateful for this podcast and the work that Jess, Eric, and Alex put into it. One of my favorite moments from the podcast has been the inside joke of Alex having a pool in his backyard. I think if you're a new listener, you probably don't know that that's a joke, but it always makes me laugh. And I think it's just really fun how you all banter on the podcast. I have really appreciated the, just really thoughtful content and discussion that you put out every week. So very grateful to be able to listen weekly and just really thankful for each perspective that you all bring. So thanks for doing this podcast, and I'm excited for 100 more episodes. Bye.
Congratulations, podcast, on 200 episodes. That's a wild ride. There's quite a few that are my favorite, but I still say the air freshener episode with Eric. Now, for the 100th anniversary, for Christ Community Church, I did bring you guys a bunch of stuff, and the gag gift I brought Eric was 2 cans of Febreze, and he actually did spray me in the face at the gathering later at the church on the 100th anniversary. So that was kind of a funny moment, but I thought I'd give you guys a quick shout out. I'll catch you on the flip side. Be safe. It's going to be a real nasty winter this year.
Hey, it's Natalie, one of your favorite listeners. I just wanted to pop in and congratulate you guys on 200 episodes. They're fantastic. You guys are amazing. And I love the dynamic between the three of you, especially the different hellos from Alex. But anyways, yeah, keep on going. I love them. It's a great icebreaker in the week. And keep up the good work. I love you guys. Bye.
Hi, podcast party people. I just wanted to say congrats on 200 episodes. Thanks for regularly giving me and my family something to talk about. I really appreciate that you tackle a lot of topics that aren't necessarily ones that people might think, hey, these have a church or a Christian relation, but they are ones that we can ponder and think about how Jesus would call us to think and act and behave in the kingdom that he has called us into. So thanks for the podcast, and good luck on the next 199 or 201 episodes.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you to all those guests, or I should say listeners, for their kind words and thoughts. Uncomfies, the uncomfies. Thank you. I'd like to clarify one thing. Andrew, I don't think I sprayed you in the face with. I feel bad if I did. I thought I just brought it out and showed you I still had it, and I sprayed it in the air in front of you. But maybe I did hit you in the face. And if I did,
in his face.
And I also have a confession to make, Andrew. Maybe you can clear this up. I have no idea what episode I said this on. If you can find it, bring it back. I don't know when I referenced air freshener. And I made an impact on you, I guess, by what I said, but I have struggled to find that. And sometimes you say stuff on here and you don't recall. So, anyways, but thank you for the air freshener. It's always come in handy, you know. They just freshen up my office.
Have you gone through both bottles?
No, just still got the one, and occasionally just spray it a little bit.
Waiting for the next time you see Andrew.
Yeah, I just try to spray him in his face.
Yeah, thank you.
Fun.
It's fun. It honestly is. I know I've talked to each of these people in person, and just humbling to know that, yeah, we've been a part of people's journey and process, and grateful for feedback. And it's just a different spectrum of people, like every single one of the people even there, but people that listen to this podcast, like there's not just like a, target demographic or like a certain person that I'm always just blown away and shocked, when people reach out, males, females, different generations, and they're like, oh, I listened to the podcast, whether it was one episode and they just heard it, or they listen every week. There's people that are just kind enough to listen every week and give us feedback. And so really, like I said, you all have shaped, not just those that shared, but have shaped the podcast in so many ways. And the only way that we get to 300 is that you continue to shape the podcast and give us ideas and thoughts. And just humbling, and thanks.
Love it. Made me laugh. And also, just a little fun fact, Brianne is my sister from Florida. I mean, we already know that, but maybe other people didn't.
Yeah.
But I always, I'm always shocked when people that are our friends or family members listen, because she doesn't listen necessarily because of us, or like I send that to her every week, but people that listen because they want to, not because they have to. So thank you for everyone that submitted videos. And
great segue. Speaking of people who listen because they want to, not because they have to, that would be our spouses. We've had requests in the past to have an all-spouse episode, things like that, and I don't think
I don't think I'm getting there.
I don't think
everybody's getting everything.
I don't think they're I don't think Christina wants to do an episode. I was like, she's like, she thought she just had to answer the questions and type them out and send them in, and I was like, no, it's a video. And she's like, oh, okay. So you don't have to come into the studio and do this with all the lights and cameras and microphones, but we did send them some questions, and we haven't seen their answer. This has been producer Austin. He's kept it private from us, so we don't know what they're going to say. But first up, Jess, we have your lovely husband, Ben, answering some questions about you. So here it is.
What's up, Uncomfortable Podcast? My name is Ben Hawley. I'm married to Jess. And for the 200th episode, I was asked to answer a few questions about Jess and the experience of what it's like to be a spouse of the show. So, first question is, what is something that no one would guess about Jess? I think there are a few things. One is that Jess loves to sleep with as many pillows as possible. It must be a minimum every night of 4 to 6 pillows at least. Oh my God. And the girl enjoys being comfortable. Another fun fact is that she has lived a good percentage of her life with a rock in her elbow. She fell down when she was younger. She'd be able to tell the story better. But there's a rock lodged in her elbow that is there forever. Next question is, what is one thing that Jess has said to embarrass me? I can't really think of anything. Honestly, I listen to the show every week, and I love getting to hear the guests and the insights. And I have been scouring my brain. I truly can't think of one thing that Jess has said to embarrass me. But who knows? There are more episodes to come. So even though it's 200th and she hasn't said anything yet, I guess there's always a possibility. But the last question is, what is my favorite quirk about Jess? And I think I love my favorite thing on the show is just that she has this ability to come up with a Hallmark storyline out of the blue. So that is not something that everybody can do, and she loves Hallmark movies, and she's really good at coming up with the storyline, and so that's probably my favorite quirk about her. So that's it.
Wow. Thank you, Ben. That was very nice.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So this elbow thing, I can't help but now.
Feel it?
I don't want to.
one.
No, but
It's
that's.
right there.
We believe you. I believe you.
There's just a gravel or like a rock in there.
I had a bike accident when I was 10.
And
And,
it,
it
like-
was so far deep in my elbow that they couldn't get it out. So they were like, well, eventually it'll heal and it'll come to the surface.
Which is
So,
why you need so many pillows.
yeah,
You got
I
a
do
rock.
love
Yeah.
pillows.
Yeah.
They have to be like,
my wife as well has
yes,
a
such a
fort
thing.
of pillows in our
It's
bed.
like Ben has one, Jess.
Yeah, same.
I think he said 6.
Six, that's true.
Let's not lie.
Might be more.
Well, he's one of them.
yeah.
All right. So we asked some similar questions to Christina, who's my wife, and I think Austin. I think you have that one ready to go as well. Again, we haven't heard these, so this is
This is
fresh.
fun.
I feel like Eric is a pretty open book, but people may not realize that he is a very self-learned person. He enjoys reading for knowledge and not just for fun, and he is a very curious person. I can think of a few times that I've said things to embarrass Eric, but I honestly cannot think of any time that he said something to embarrass me. He is very empathetic and someone that easily puts themselves in other people's shoes. My favorite quirk about Eric would have to be the fact that he's a pushover when it comes to his family. He is not afraid to joke around with the kids and play silly music and have silly conversations and just to have fun instead of always being serious. He's very good about being real and letting his guard down around our children. And just the fact that we can have fun.
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Almost made Jess successfully cry.
Yeah, it might have made me
I
cry.
think Christina is incredible. That's so precious.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, honey. Oh, I didn't see that. That was special. I didn't know which way she was going with it. I was a little concerned.
I probably should preface this before my wife's even comes
Okay,
on.
no, we don't need to.
I think I failed the assignment, and I told my wife she only had to answer one of the questions. I don't know if she
We
answered
kind of did.
multiple.
We kind of did say to them that if they didn't feel comfortable answering them all, they could choose one. So she
Not to
didn't.
say that Aaron wouldn't feel comfortable.
But maybe she just really liked this. Is that because I'm assuming you haven't seen it, but you
I
know
haven't-
she.
yeah,
answered
she's like,
just
I
one.
answered one. She's like,
Okay.
I answered one because I was like, did you send it in?
Oh,
and
okay.
she's like, I will.
Okay.
And she's like, I just have to answer one, right? And I'm like,
We've heard
yes.
enough.
We're fine.
We've
We're
heard
fine.
enough.
Aaron,
Austin,
tell us a
take it
little bit
away.
about
Take it away.
Alex. Yes.
Hi everyone. I'm Erin and I'm Alex's wife. And as I was looking over the questions, trying to figure out which one I wanted to answer, it was a bit hard because I feel like the uncomfies already know a lot of unusual things about Alex. So I was trying to come up with something different. But I would say one of my favorite quirks about Alex is that he's always singing, like all the time. Sings in the shower, he sings in the car, he sings when he's making the kids breakfast, he sings when he hears a word to a song he has memorized, he just like instantly starts to sing that song. He goes from singing worship in the shower to rapping to the kids in the car on the way to one of their sporting events to pump them up. It's like all the time he loves to sing. And although it can be a little annoying at times, it's one of my favorite quirks because it just like tends to put all of the kids and myself in a better mood. It lightens the mood of our house and tends to make everyone smile and laugh, and the girls even roll their eyes, and it's just one of those things that we can always count on him to do. He's just kind of, he's just our hype man, and we can always count on him to energize us and keep us positive. And so that would probably be one of my favorite quirks about him. So yeah, that's it. All right, bye.
Aw, it was so good.
Just a singer. Look at me.
When are you
just a rapper?
When are you
all
gonna
of it?
Worship team, man. You need to get up there.
I started even this episode with.
You did.
Looks like we made it.
My thing is like you do sing all the time, and to have it confirmed is fun.
The amount of hip hop lyrics in your head are always surprising to me when I hear you just spouting something off.
It is amazing. It's quite.
Where's your emotion coming from right now?
It's just funny. I'm a hype man. So.
I know, that's precious.
Yeah.
It's not funny, that's precious.
It is precious.
Precious. Thank you. That was fun. Thank you for dropping those lines for us spouses.
That was a great idea, whoever had that. So really that does it for us. It's been
so fun.
It's not does it for the show, it does it for this
That.
episode. This is we're telling everyone we're done. No 201. No, just kidding. No, we'll be back next week with another episode. But yeah, thanks everybody for sticking with us this long. It feels like it's been a flash in the pan. Like I can't even believe that it's 200 episodes. It's been almost 5 years. Like that's just wild.
Can I geek out about 201 real fast?
Sure. What you really want to do is be a hype man.
Yeah, but
for the
can
episode.
I be a hype man for the next episode?
Could you start it with a song, please?
Never, Alex. I can tell that's my little quirk about Alex is he's the king of promotion. Like,
there's no place like Nebraska. I'm excited. Next week I did an interview with a guy named Nick Henrich. He was a linebacker at University of Nebraska, and so he just retired from football because of so many surgeries. But anyway, kindred spirit, went to Burke High School as well. Nice. And just a cool faith journey. They just did an article in the Lincoln Star this week about him finding Jesus and a teammate baptizing him. And so he shares a little bit of that story next week of his just finding his identity, rooted in football and then to Christ by the end of college. And I mean, he has been a football player at Nebraska for 3 different head coaches. No, 2 different head coaches. I apologize. 3 different head coaches, technically. Scott Frost, Mickey Joseph, and Matt Rule. So just a lot of interesting stuff around that. And now we all know.
Yes.
I'm a Husker fan.
Yep. There was no one else that was going to do that.
They won against the number 1 team last night. Well, 2 nights ago. So
that was
just hype. I'm just hype right now.
Okay.
Yeah, baby.
Radio.
Yeah, baby.
All right. Any closing thoughts, Jess?
No.
Okay.
I love you guys.
All right. Aw, love you too. Thank you so much. Alex signed the I love you ASL for those who are not watching. Thanks everybody. If you have any questions or concerns or any ideas, as always, you can reach out to us at podcast@cccomaha.org, or you can reach out to us on social media on TikTok or Instagram at CCCOMA Podcast. Leave us a voicemail at 402-885-9930. Again, thanks for 200 episodes, and until next time, we'll talk to you then.
I did get to drive through Dean Martin's hometown of Steubenville, Ohio. I'll catch you later.